This is Heart-repreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heart-repreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Hello and welcome to Heart-repreneur Radio and TV show with Terri Levine. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant, and I'm excited to be here today. You can connect with Terri, me, and other like-minded, heart-based business owners on the Heart-repreneurs with Terri Levine Facebook group, so go check it out. And we hope you find value in this show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we always love those 5-star reviews. Our quote today, wherever you go, go with all of your heart. Confucius. Today, we're talking about becoming a heart-centered entrepreneur, and our special guest this week is Julio. I hope I said that right. Julio is an international, multiple award-winning professional, mission-driven entrepreneur with a lifetime learner. He uses his 8 years of experience within management, training, and research environments to enable personal, professional, and business growth. Julio is the founder of Sharing Knowledge International. SKI is a company guided by the purpose of enabling powerful transformation to drive business, career, and life fulfillment. SKI offers power coaching with a focus on business, career, and life expansion for entrepreneurs and professionals. And for organizations, SKI offers knowledge consultancy with a focus on talent development, organization development, and knowledge sharing. Welcome to the show, Julio.
Thank you so much, Velma. You did pronounce my name very, very well. Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here.
Awesome. So 8 years of experience, lots of awards. And I did take the time to take a look at your LinkedIn page, and what you've achieved in such a short amount of time is absolutely amazing. Tell me what power coaching means to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. For me, power coaching is all about we being able to first remember how powerful we are, and then to own and embrace that power fully without reserves. And from that place, we are fully able to share that with other people. And at the end of the day, our life becomes a measure of possibility and potential that allows others to do the same.
So you work with your clients on both a personal and a professional basis.
Yeah.
So, and that to me, that makes a lot of sense because they are not separate.
Thank you for saying that. Most people, think that personal development is one thing and business or career development is the other. But if you stop to think, if you're not okay, if you're not great as a human being, you won't be able to show up as a full, amazing, glorious entrepreneur or as a professional, if you will, right? So it is important for me to connect those two realms, the personal development realm, and you can clearly see all the benefits that you will get as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, by working on yourself. And my entire practice is based on this concept that success is 80% internal game and only 20% external game. So, and for me, there was a huge shocker because for 2 years, I used to manage a business incubation program in Mozambique, the first one in the country. For those who doesn't know, Mozambique is a country in Southeast Africa. And I was always wondering, why will some entrepreneurs will thrive and others won't? Even though they all went to the same selection process, they all access to the same results. So why will some break through and others won't? And I was actually in one of Tony Robbins' events, and he shared this example that, if you go, everyone knows what you need to do in order to burn fat and build muscle, right? You need to play with 3 things: sleep, dieting, and exercise. Everyone knows that. And if you grab your smartphone, you're going to find a fitness coach, a nutritionist, even sleep coaches these days. So why is not everyone in the best shape of their lives? You know, if it was just about the strategy, that really comes down to the 80% that for me, it's all about your identity, your mindset, and your energy levels. So most of the times you need to upgrade your identity and update your mindset so you can shift your energy and naturally start crafting and implementing the strategies that will change your context. And those two, the strategy and the context, it's only the 20%. And most people focus on that, completely ignoring the human behind the business.
I love that, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I know that when I've worked with people, some of them would come in with the intention of transforming in their business. What we would end up working on is their personal life, and what would end up transforming is their business.
Absolutely, same thing here.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so you mentioned in that 80% internal. You mentioned identity and mindset. So tell me a little bit about what you mean by identity.
Yeah, I like to give people this computer example because I think we all get it. So if you want to buy a brand new computer, you have basically two main options, right? A MacBook computer or a PC, a regular laptop. So those computers, they have a hardware and a software, and that's the identity of the computer, right? The same way human beings, we have our body, our physical body, and all the different layers of our identity. It's who we are at a core. So for instance, you can be or you can identify yourself as a very generous person but having a really bad day, and you will not show up as a generous person who's having a great day, right? So your identity is really at the core of your essence. But then your mindset is this interface that allows your identity to be expressed. If you go back to the laptop example or the computer example, when you buy a MacBook, let's say, it has a hardware and a software, but then you need to install some programs to make it work, right? You need to install Zoom, Adobe Photoshop, whatever it is. That's your mindset. It's what you believe in, and that allows your identity to be expressed. And most of the times, even though we might identify ourselves as heart-based or heart-centered entrepreneurs, if our mindset is really stuck on limiting beliefs and really in a low standard of living, on giving and receiving, we won't be able to do that or to achieve the impact we desire, not even to receive the income we deserve. And we won't be operating from a place of integrity. And I found that if you play with your identity and your mindset, you can get massive shifts, but then you can buy the most powerful computer, Velma. Eventually, you'll have to connect it to a power source. Otherwise, it will dry out. So that's why it's so important for you to also link the energy component. That way, you really become the version of you that can actually earn the income you deserve and actually have the impact you desire. All that while feeling amazing by doing it.
Okay, I like that. I mean, it absolutely makes sense to me. I love that you referred to your mindset as your interface, and that it's a lot of the software, apps, programs that we install or have been installed for us.
yeah, absolutely.
Some of our programming has come pre-installed. That's for sure. And I love that you cycle all the way through with identity, mindset, energy levels, and I kind of get, the three arrows kind of all pointing at each other, that it really is important, and it cycles through. It's not just you can only focus on this one or you can only focus on that one.
Absolutely. And most times, if I can add, I found that usually with clients, if you find the core, or the basic or the minimal tolerance level, you will easily be able to shift other areas. So one of my mentors, she says, Regan Healy, she says that you don't get what you wish for or what you dream about. You get what you tolerate. And most of the times, if you scan your identity, your mindset, and your energy, you'll see your lowest tolerance point. And by tackling that, it's sort of like going to the root cause of the issue, and you'll be able to identify, okay, so this energy level is associated with this belief system and therefore with this identity. For example, some clients, they will really struggle to close sales, like really struggle. And then we go through, we found out that they're not believing on what they're selling, either because they think their product is too expensive, or they're like, who am I to receive that amount of money? Whatever it is, right? And what happens on a sales call, like literally other people will tell you out loud what you've been telling yourself all the time. They're just mirroring your energy most of the times. Have you experienced that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like what I just to paraphrase what you said, when you reach that tolerance level, what are the voices in your head saying to you?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And
So,
if you pull that cord, you find out that, oh, in the end of the day, it's in a mindset issue because you have a limiting belief that your product or service is too expensive, but then associated with your own identity of like, how worthy are you to receiving that? Right. And then you playing around with those things and you realize that, well, actually, when you show up in a sales call, your energy is like crank it up and you are like inclined, or you are like too eager, like and desperate and like offering discounts and discounts and discounts. And people feel that. Right. So it's like always those three. And then it's just, putting like the right strategies on how to make a sales calls, how to build the trust and all that stuff. But because you worked on that personal development first, it's so easy for you to implement those strategies and even tailor them to match what you need.
So you're supporting people with figuring out, one, what the voices are in their head when they reach that tolerance level, and supporting them with transforming that or shifting that so that they can move forward with confidence and go to the next tolerance level.
Absolutely. And it's a game, right? You shift one thing and you realize other stuff and you go and work more. And I always say that, the integrity portion, so my practice also have these three power codes, or like the main power structures. So it's income, impact, and integrity. Your integrity is not just about doing what's right. It's also doing what the most highest version of yourself would do. And sometimes it will mean you need to really put down your ego and focus on your vision. Sometimes it will mean you have to realize and learn how to say no, or really go for those big, big dreams that deep down they're scaring you, or because you're afraid of success or of failure. But that's what, for me at least, means to really be playing into your full integrity all the time. And that will always change, right? Depending on your tolerance levels and the experience you had in life and the possibilities that you really believe that are available for you.
So I'm hearing integrity is kind of the foundation, and the kind of, and from your integrity, you get to make the impact, and from your impact, you get to make the income. Is that kind of the path?
Actually, it's like the arrows again.
It's still okay.
Yeah, because one will really influentiate on the other, right? You cannot be playing in full integrity if you're starving, if you don't have enough money to just make ends meet, right? But also, you can have the biggest arts in the world. You'll need resources to make that impact happen. So you always will fall back to income. But then you can have all the money in the world and you can feel horrible about it because you're not you haven't received that money from an integral place, or you don't feel great because you didn't have the impact you desire, right? So it's not one of the other. It's more around harmonizing the three of them, and depending on where you are in life, because we all have this idea of having a balanced life, but I really believe that balance is nature's job. Our job is harmony. So if you decide that, this year I really want to focus on my career, or I really want to focus on growing my business, I don't really want to focus that much on relationships or romantic relationships per se. If you're making a conscious decision and you really know what you're like letting go on the table, and you're still open if that comes up to you, that's one thing, right? And it's a conscious choice. It's completely different from you saying like, well, I cannot have a successful business and have a successful relationship. It's a completely different mindset. But then it's all around playing with all those three building blocks of power.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense because, again, it's kind of like, I know a lot of people use this analogy of the table and the legs. And the main reason they do it is because it does make sense. If the income leg is a bit short, then your table is out of balance, right?
Absolutely.
And same with the impact and the integrity. Those things are going to be impacting the structure of your table. And so definitely the cycle applies, and the structure of the table applies as well. So, okay. So you said that our job is harmony. Can you say a little bit more? Oh, actually, you know what? Hold that thought. I want to make sure that we pause for our commercial break and make sure that we put that time in there. And when we get back, I want to make sure that our listeners know how to connect with you. So we're just going to do a quick pause here for our commercial break.
Hey there, it's Terri Levine. I just wanted to pop in for just a moment as you're listening here to Heart-repreneur Radio and watching Heart-repreneur TV. We have so many new and exciting things going on. So you can watch a free masterclass. Highly recommend to get a conveyor belt of qualified prospects. That's at TL, like Terri Levine, tlwebinar.com. Head over there, enjoy it, keep listening and sharing the show.
Welcome back to Heart-repreneur Radio and TV. We are with our special guest, Julio, and I want to make sure that you, our listeners, know exactly how to connect to Julio. Julio, can you share with us the best way for our listeners to connect to you?
Absolutely. You can reach me out personally on Instagram at Julio Muhorro. I know that sounds hard, but it's JULIOMUHORRO, or you can find my company LinkedIn page, Sharing Knowledge International.
Perfect. Awesome. So we were talking about harmony. You said that balance is nature's responsibility and our job is harmony. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. For years, I struggled with this concept of having a balanced life. And I also realized that if you study physics or whatever, they usually say that energy isn't created or destroyed, it just transforms, meaning that in nature there is a ultimate balance that's always happening, right? The universe cannot fully undo itself. But then as humans, if you try to balance your life, it's really you trying to go over the horizon line. It's not going to happen because you are human. You get sad, you get happy, you have all those emotions, you change your mind, and sometimes there are moments in your life where you really are not able to show full up at work, right? Maybe because you say you had a baby or you were sick or whatever it is, and you pursuing that balance is only depicting you. But if you play your role of striving for harmony, is something that I feel it's way more attainable, because you're playing with harmony with those trifecta of income, impact, and integrity, and you are also in harmony with life and nature, meaning that you understand the different cycles of life. You understand that it's okay for you to feel really sad because you lost a loved one or you lost a business deal, and that will affect and impact your business, or at least your capacity to show up in your business, and you work to heal that, and then you can show up in your more authentic self. The same way, you can decide, what, I'm actually going on a holiday and have a full holidays without even opening your email, right? So it's not about balancing things. Nature will always do that for us. Our job is to make sure that we are operating from a place where we feel that we are in harmony with our own truth, with that impact that we want to create in the world, and with the income we want to receive for our work. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Because we are experiencing things and we may not be able to balance everything that we experience, but we can find a way to be okay with it, be in harmony with it. I know years ago, I used to call it life and work integration.
Yeah.
I chose integration because, like you, sometimes things they're just not in balance. In that moment, they're just not. Or at least from my perception, they're just not.
And that's valid, right? It's from where you stand, that's a view you're getting, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So you did talk a little bit about the 20% being strategy.
Yeah.
And, we always talk about the 80-20 rule. 80% of our income is going to be coming from 20% of our work. And, you even had that, and it makes so much sense about the 80% of it's internal and 20% of it is external. So let's talk just a little bit about that 20%, that external stuff. What do you find is not necessarily the strategy that people need to take, but the strategy that people think they need to take?
I found most people think they need to do more. I mean, I was the guy that was like, you need to be more, do more, and have more. I've always been a high achiever. So like doing. And I think that's sort of a more, people usually call it a more masculine way of doing it. It's like, action and then reaction, and like I need to go and grind and do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found the thing with that 20%, which is strategy and context, is first of all, you need to understand the context in which you are operating. So if I'm working with a client from Texas in the US and a client from New York in LA, they're in completely different contexts, right? And if I add that to like people there in Singapore, Malaysia, Europe, it's a completely different perspective. And then when it comes down to strategy, most of us, we focus on the actual doing, and we forget about making sure that the strategy is actually aligned with what you really, really want. And I found that most often than not, for you to be able to have more, you don't have to do more. I know it sounds counterproductive, but usually it's more around you being able to receive more. So you are focusing on that 20% that you know is going to give you the 80% of income you're trying to have. You are focused on replicating that. To do that, first you need to eliminate, then you need to automate, and then you need to delegate. If you go with those 3 steps, then you realize that, oh, actually I can have more without necessarily doing more. And by no means, I'm not ditching hard work. I really believe there is a space and a time for hard work and for smart work, but it's more around you understanding when you need to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Which comes back to the harmony.
Exactly.
Versus the balance. Because when you're in harmony, there are going to be times, there are going to be moments where you need to really push hard. You got a deadline and you're going to push hard to get there. But what I'm hearing is that we're not always on the deadline. So we're not always needing to be behaving in that same way 100% of the time.
Absolutely. I had a call recently with one of my clients. She's the owner of a health clinic in Europe. And we were going over that triage process. And she shared something with me that I'm super happy to share with you, is that the reason why most private clinics are so efficient is that they know how to prioritize. And most entrepreneurs, I mean, if you're like me, we have tons of ideas and we feel like we need to implement them all at once. Otherwise, their world will miss in this big thing that we are creating, right? And if you just stop to just prioritize, like really listen to your heart and prioritize, you realize that, you know what? Actually, that is not that urgent and it's not that important. I can negotiate the deadline even sometimes, and going back to those 3 principles, eliminate, automate, and delegate, there's a lot of stuff that you can offload and you can really focus in your zone of genius that will then give you more income that you can then allocate to automate and to delegate to more people. So it comes back to that concept of harmony, and you really being in harmony with your heart first and foremost. Again, it might require you to make some tough decisions, but again, it's your choice, right? What you really want in the end of the day and what you're tolerating in the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it really is about prioritizing. I liked the sequence that you gave about eliminate, automate, and delegate, because to me, the prioritize fits in with the eliminate, but it also fits in with the automate and the delegate as well. It is about prioritizing those things, for example, in delegating, because that's something I'm practicing more. It is about what do I have to do versus what can I give someone else to do? And so it's prioritizing those things. These are the things that need to get done. I've prioritized them. And then it's a matter of where does my priority go on this list of priority items?
Absolutely. A few things that completely changed my perspective. So one was I eliminated I have to do for my calendar to I get to do. So I always ask myself, what do I get to do that only me will do it in a way that will really make the world go in awe? If it's not me, the person to do that, then I'm not doing it. Pretty simple like that. I prefer paying someone to do it because it's going to be way better than I will do, right? That's one. And the other thing that I learned is you've been responsible for something. Doesn't mean you have to do it yourself. And that's when delegating to me became more easy, because I was, okay, this is my responsibility, but I don't have to copyright my posts. I can send that to someone who is more experienced than I have and loves doing it. And they get to do that which they love. And I get to do what I love. So those small mindset tricks, they really help you be more in harmony with your purpose and your mission, without feeling depleted and really feeling good about what you're doing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And and I've heard it said that don't take up the role that somebody else would love to do, especially if you hate it.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of us do that. Like I have to have income, so I have to stay in this job, or I have to get this done. And so what I heard from you was, I get to tackle my get tos, and then I get to delegate my have tos to somebody who loves to get to do those things.
Absolutely. You got it perfectly, Velma. And I found that it's very scary at first, but then if you lean into it, you realize that, it's actually more enjoyable and pleasurable. And the same thing goes when clients are trying to build high ticket offers and they think they have to do it everything themselves. And we go like, no, you can collaborate. If you stop thinking about just sharing your income with other people, but actually bringing people together that allow you to even charge higher values because you are delivering more value, then you might even be able to receive more than you were by doing that thing by yourself, and also feeling good about it.
That makes a lot of sense. Collaborating can be a great way of delegating.
It is. So it doesn't always have to be like hiring, or you don't have to hire full time. You can be very creative on how you delegate. It's really matter if you find in the right strategies. But before that, we need to make sure that you are actually willing to delegate. That you actually have the capacity to let go of control and really embrace your role as a leader and not of a controller.
Well, and that kind of fits in with what you were talking about of transferring yourself in a way so that you're able to receive more. Because
Absolutely.
You're receiving the support. When you're delegating, you are receiving support. So that's part of growing that receiving muscle.
Absolutely. And as heart-centered entrepreneurs, it can be so hard because we really feel that our role is to give. Another great woman in my life is Lisa Nichols. She always says, you cannot give from your cup. You can only give from your overflow, especially if you want to do it sustainably. So you really need to be able to receive all the love that people are trying to give you, all the support, all the money they're trying to give you. And because you have your heart in the right space, I bet that you'll have a better use of their money than if you give for someone that's not aligned with your heart.
Awesome. Okay. That makes a lot of sense as well. When you're delegating, make sure that it's a harmony, right? To use your words, when you're working with someone that you're choosing to delegate, that there is a harmony there and not a disharmony. So.
Yeah. And when clients struggle with that, I usually tell them, stress only kicks in when leadership fails and management disappoints. Because your role as a business leader is to create new pathways and create new stuff and, drive the company places. Your role is not necessarily of a manager. A manager role is really to maintain stuff. You create, the manager takes in and maintain it on a level to be sustainable and grow. But then if that also fails, that's when stress kicks in and you are running around, burning out and trying to put down fires because your leadership failed in the first place. And then your management also disappointed. That's why you're resorting to stress to destroy and try to go to the cycle again. So I guess probably by now I've shared a lot of trilogies with you at this point, Velma.
Well, but they are all connected because, certainly if I'm going to bring in a team member and I'm choosing someone that I think is going to balance what's going on, they may not necessarily be in harmony. And so it actually doesn't get the result that I want. And that's part of the choices of leadership, is making sure that I'm bringing in the right people to bring the harmony, but they also have the skills and it's their get-tos. Because again, I don't want to bring in somebody who's choosing to do something that I don't like to do. So they're doing it for the wrong reasons. I want to make sure that I'm bringing somebody in who's doing it for the right reasons because they're excited about it. It gets them jazzed. And that is that they've got the right mindset interface and all of that kind of stuff. They all cycle into each other. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So I want to thank you so much for your time, Julio, today. This has been really amazing. I'm impressed with the knowledge that you've been able to accumulate in 8 years' time, and the impact that I know you're having at this point in your life is just only going to be growing. Again, can you share with our listeners where's the best way for them to connect with you?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So you can find me on Instagram by Julio Muhorro. That's JuliomUhorro. Or you can find me through my company LinkedIn page, Sharing Knowledge International. I'd love to have a conversation with you over there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for holding the space.
And thank you to our listeners for coming and spending your time with us. I hope you found value in this. I'd love to hear in the comments what it is that you got from this show today. Please like, subscribe, and we always love those 5-star reviews. Thank you. And always remember to go to Facebook and look up Heart-repreneurs with Terri Levine, and you'll be able to hang out with heart-based business owners like Terri, myself, and Julio, and many others. Have an absolutely fantastic day.
You've been listening to Heart-repreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog, or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri, and on Facebook.com/Heart-repreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.